Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and welcome to the Summer Cup Great League Edition. We had the Summer Cup in Ultra League twice this past season, and now we get the 1500 Combat Power format. For this format, only normal, fire, water, grass, electric, and bug type Pokemon are allowed. Today, I'm going to be showcasing a high-risk, high-reward glass cannon Pokemon that just got some amazing pacing, and that is Shadow Palkia. With the rework to Dragon Breath, Palkia gets to these Aqua Tails in only 9 turns, meaning that it can outpace so many Pokemon to help compensate for how glassy it is. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's go Shadow Palkia. In game number 1, we pick up a pretty nice lead leading Palkia into Stunfisk. The thought process behind this team is a pretty simple one. I want 2 extremely bulky Pokemon in the back that I can use to absorb hits, because most games I'm probably just going to be double shielding the Palkia and trying to brute force as much damage as I possibly can. My opponent will grab the second shield, sending in Kingdra to try and absorb an Aqua Tail, but I hold on to the energy, and now out comes Volt Switch Fortress. While Bug Bite is a really good fast move, I think for this meta, Volt Switch does have a lot of play. My opponent goes for the Octazooka, they do not get the debuff, and here, unless I miscounted, this cannot be an Octazooka, it is only going to be a Swift. So now I will farm up just shy of the back-to-back Rock Tombs, and that will allow me to make an Earthquake into the Stunfisk when it gets brought back in. But they don't bring it back in. Instead, they're going to bring out a Bullet Seed Credilli, and this could be trouble. I have a Diggersby as my final Pokemon. Diggersby has a massive amount of bulk, but Diggersby really doesn't want to see Credilli. The good news for me is I'm able to get some big damage on it with the back-to-back Rock Tombs, quick switch into Palkia. They switch as well, sending in the Stunfisk. I have back-to-back Aqua Tails, which means they cannot afford to shield here. Down goes Stunfisk, in comes Credilli, and Credilli is forced to burn the final shield. Palkia just outputs immense pressure onto teams. It's so frail, but even Aqua Tails neutrally are incredibly threatening. And this Credilli is so low that I can even handle it with the Diggersby. But if I don't have to reveal my third, I will not. So I'm just going to bring in the Fortress. Fortress gets the Rock Tomb, down goes Credilli, and Diggersby gets to take game 1 off. In game number 2, Credilli is back, but this time on the lead into Palkia. This is a bit of an uncomfortable matchup, but a neutral Aqua Tail will do a ton of damage to Credilli. So Credilli will actually put up a shield. Because of the new pacing on Dragon Breath, I should be able to make a Draco Meteor on charge attack priority. So I shield up the Rock Tomb. Palkia is going to farm up, getting to the Draco Meteor. They catch, oh my, onto a Jellicent. This is a debuff Draco. It still almost KOs the Jellicent. My oh my, Shadow Palkia, we get to an Aqua Tail, that's going to pick up the knockout, and now I have switch advantage, and that's exactly what I want. I get to send out Fortress, and Fortress will be able to absorb multiple Rock Tombs. First Rock Tomb is going to connect. I'm just trying to get to a Rock Tomb of my own. They're going to connect with Rock Tomb number 2. I am now double debuffed. Opponent is going to switch. In the back is Shadow Kanto Ninetales, and with Diggersby, I'm feeling pretty good. Obviously, if they have Overheat could make life quite difficult. They're going to go for the Weather Ball here. I overfarm, I just miscounted. This is enough for the Overheat, I will have to respect it. My opponent ends up going for a Psyshock. Psyshock, I believe, actually does 1 less damage in neutral scenarios. So that's where, if they had Overheat, they would really want to go for it. Either way, I don't have any shields, but since they don't have Overheat, I'm in an okay spot. I'm just going to wait the turn to make sure they do not get the catch. I see the Ember start, so Scorching Sands will get to pick up the knockout, and now I just get to switch. Back in comes Credilli, but the Fortress has the Rock Tomb loaded. Rock Tomb is going to land, Credilli hangs on, but 1 Volt Switch will secure the win. Hopping into the next match, picking up a negative lead, Shadow Palkia into Toedscruel. At the very least, I can outpace. Opponent safe switches Empoleon. I farm up a ton of energy onto Palkia and send out Fortress. Fortress will get hit with the Hydro Cannon, and it appears I have miscalculated. Hydro Cannon will actually 2-shot me from the shadow, so I will put up the shield and then just go for the farm down, as 2 Volt Switches should knock out. But Disaster strikes, Empoleon hangs on very low health, and forced to throw energy as well, and I have brutally misplayed this game. In comes Toedscruel, I bank all that energy, and I switch back into the Palkia. Palkia Aqua Tail is going to be shielded. Palkia going to get another Aqua Tail as well. And at the very least, I have a Rock Tomb or an Earthquake for later. I get both shields from this Toedscruel. Toedscruel exits with what I'm pretty sure is 100 energy, so they're just going to throw on alignment as I send in Diggersby. 40 energy Seed Bomb is going to be really nice for the Toedscruel, as Toedscruel will be able to make a third Seed Bomb before I can get to my Fire Punch. I really think that if I'm going to win this game, it's going to be because I have that Rock Tomb banked. I'm forced to burn the final shield on their Seed Bomb. In the back is Crustle, and this might be winnable. I farm up to the back-to-back Fire Punches. I'll save one for the Toedscruel and then snipe with the Rock Tomb, but I get KO'd by the Fury Cutter, and unfortunately, by losing that move, we do not have a chance. X-Scissor KOs the Diggersby, and we will lose a Heartbreaker. Picking up a pretty nice lead in the next match, Shadow Palkia into Chestnut. Anytime I see a Chestnut, I immediately assume there's going to be some kind of a fire type in the back. Obviously, Fortress would not appreciate that. Diggersby would be a lot more okay. I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail. I don't think Aqua Tail will quite knock out from this health range, so I'm just going to CMP tie them here. This way, my opponent is forced to give me a shield back if they want my final shield. And it turns out that actually wasn't a CMP tie, so I do get the Dragon Breath through as they now go for the Superpower, and Palkia gets the farm down. In comes a Dragon Breath Shadow Charizard, and that is scary. Charizard will have to give up the final shield to the Aqua Tail, but they now get the farm down. In comes Diggersby. Diggersby, it's on the team to take hits, so it better be able to live this Blast Burn. Blast Burn lands catastrophic damage onto Diggersby. Diggersby Scorching Sands will connect onto this Charizard. I switch into Fortress. They switch into Crustle. Can I hang on to a Rock Wrecker? Rock Wrecker hits incredibly hard. I think if they were the Shadow, I would lose this game, but they're the regular, so I will not. I survive. I make it to the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb, big damage onto Crustle. We will get that Volt Switch farm down, and now back in comes Charizard. Charizard does not have the Volt Switch land as they can pick up the knockout with the Air Cutter, but it should be one quick attack from Diggersby farming down Charizard and securing the win. We see a bit of a scary lead in the next match, Shadow Palkia into Shadow Ferrothorn. Now, the Ferrothorn being Shadow is uniquely bad for Palkia, because whether the Ferrothorn is regular or Shadow, Dragon Breath from Palkia does 2 damage. So unfortunately, with them being Shadow, they deal a lot of extra damage to me, and I don't deal any extra fast move damage to them. I don't think my Aqua Tail will quite KO, so I'm going to do what I do a lot, which is just double shield Palkia. Power Whip is going to grab my final shield. I can farm up just shy of 100 energy, and my opponent now is never going to be shielded the Ferrothorn. They're just going to let it go and take the advantage. In comes Kingdra, and I'm bluffing a Draco Meteor. I'm only throwing the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail bait is successful. There's one of the shields back, and now in comes Fortress. Opponent, unfortunately, slight mistime there on their Octazooka, so I do get a free Volt Switch. Thankfully, I do not get debuffed, and I farm up just shy of 100 energy. Rock Tomb into this Kingdra is going to be shielded. Kingdra is going to CMP tie there. Very nice precision from my opponent. They're hoping this Octazooka will be enough, but it is not. They did get the Octazooka debuff, so I'm now -2 attack. Rock Tomb still knocks out. In the back, oh my, it's a Shadow Gyarados. Shadow Gyarados is a complete wall to energy from Diggersby, so this is going to be uncomfortable. The one good thing is I saved an Aqua Tail on Shadow Palkia. If I didn't have that move, I would lose this game because Diggersby just can't hit hard enough into the Gyarados, but after the Fire Punch lands, there's the combo play. They're still in the yellow health, but look at the damage from Shadow Palkia. Down goes Shadow Gyarados, and that is a good game. Bad lead in the next match, leading Palkia into Scizor. I save switch into the Fortress, and my opponent throws on perfect timing there, throwing 8 in the move as I'm unable to get to my Rock Tomb. I'm just going to undertap because I need damage onto this Scizor. Scizor is a massive problem for Palkia. Scizor farming up a huge amount of energy. Opponent tries the CMP tie there, but I end up just going for the extra. They have the back-to-back. They try and CMP tie me once again, and I'm very happy to keep taking these free Volt Switches. With Scizor's massive attack stat, Scizors really like to CMP tie, and in that scenario, I was kind of able to punish the fact that they like to CMP tie, get a bunch of free fast moves, and then farm them down. I Rock Tomb the Kingdra, snipe down with the Palkia in the back. They have their own Palkia. Oh my goodness, look at the spice. Palkia versus Palkia. This meta's pretty cool. They exit with a lot of energy. I have a Rock Tomb banked on the Fortress, so I'm going to need to wait down the switch timer, bring in Diggersby, wait for them to throw a move, and then I should be able to snipe with the move on Fortress. Shadow Palkia goes for it all, going for the Draco Meteor. Diggersby barely hangs on to make a Fire Punch. It's double resisted, so it does not KO, but Fortress will get to combo play with that Rock Tomb that was saved from earlier. A very cool team from my opponent, triple Shadow, and we're able to escape with a win. Speaking of Shadows, we have Shadow Palkia into Shadow Typhlosion. Opponent safe switches into Lickitung. I farm up, bank a ton of energy, and now send out Fortress. Fortress is just a complete wall to Lickitung. Lickitung is stuck throwing resisted moves. Body Slam will connect. They're going for Body Slam number 2. I know that no one move that I throw can pick up the knockout, so I figure if I'm going to have to throw 2 moves, I may as well go for the cheaper move, and that is Rock Tomb. So Rock Tomb is going to land into Lickitung. Lickitung does take that damage very, very well. The opponent will be able to get some farm with Typhlosion once they bring it back in. I can't get to this Rock Tomb because the Incinerate will KO, so I think I'm just going to play aggressive. I'm going to save that, switch into the Palkia, and guarantee get a shield advantage with this Aqua Tail, as Aqua Tail would just one-shot. They do put up the shield. They're staying in with the Typhlosion. Maybe they're weak in the back to Palkia. Another Aqua Tail, another shield. Palkia making life very uncomfortable for this opponent. I absolutely have to shield Thunder Punch. It would very easily knock me out. In comes a Swampert in the back, and it's all over. Draco Meteor from Palkia. One hit KO. Down goes Swampert. In comes Typhlosion. I get to bring in Diggersby and get to the Fire Punch before they get their double Blast Burn. Fire Punch is resisted, but it is enough. Down goes Typhlosion. And man, Shadow Palkia is so much fun. We've got a battle of buffed Pokemon in the next match, Shadow Palkia into Venusaur. Venusaur is going to really appreciate not having a Frenzy Plant in this matchup. They can just go for the cheaper Sludge as it would easily KO. I'm just going to keep farming. There's a catch attempt. They send in Shadow Kingdra, and my goodness, Fortress loves seeing the Kingdra safe swap. Kingdra is definitely the most common safe swap in this format, so having a good check to it and back is a really big plus. Here, it looks like my opponent is on Outrage and Swift. I've seen Outrage and Swift, I've also seen Octazooka and Swift, so people testing out a few different movesets. I'm expecting to see them bring in the third here, but when they bring in Venusaur, I realize they're triple weak to Volt Switch Fortress. That's the only reason they would play this the way that they have. Frenzy lands, it does not KO due to the double resist, and now Rock Tomb will threaten a knockout onto Venusaur. Venusaur will get KO'd. In the back is Empoleon, and now we know why they had to bring in the Venusaur. They were never going to be able to Metal Sound down, so they had to stay in there and just try and get some damage. Here, I should have just full sent the Draco Meteor. Because I can't bait and get to another Draco, that's entirely on me. I had an opportunity to land another Draco, but I just didn't go for it. The good news is I'm still able to basically KO the Empoleon. The Empoleon is now very, very low. I'm going to try and go for some style points here. 1 and a catch. I don't get the catch. The good news is I'm still going to be able to win because my opponent would need 3 Hydro Cannons, and unless I've miscounted, they just cannot get there. My opponent will get that double up, but unfortunately the Quick Attack went through. They're on 1 HP. The Quick Attack picks up the knockout, and we're able to take the win. Hopping into the final match, and we've got a problem. My opponent is leading Shadow Kingdra. I'm very prepared for a Shadow Kingdra safe swap, but I'm actually ABA weak to a Kingdra on the lead. I end up safe switching into Fortress, saving energy on the Palkia, and I'm able to bait out Credilli. This is nice because my Diggersby will not have to face it, but unfortunately my Diggersby is going to have to deal with the fact that there's a Kingdra that has a bunch of loaded energy. They fire off Rock Tomb, I fire off Rock Tomb. I would love to try and pivot out of this matchup at some point. They farm up a ton. I do now have a Rock Tomb. My Rock Tomb won't KO, so it's not a particularly threatening move here. Instead, I'm just going to switch into the Palkia and go for my Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail into Credilli is going to land, picking up the knockout. Opponent sends in Fortress. It's Bug Bite. They try for a farm down, but Shadow Palkia says no. Shadow Palkia gets the Aqua Tail. Big damage onto that Fortress. And now I have a catch. and I have a Diggersby. In comes Diggersby. Opponent tries to CMP tie there with a Fire Punch. They may have needed to switch in the Kingdra instantly. They Rock Tomb to debuff me. In comes the Kingdra, and I will respect the potential Octazooka. My opponent is going to Swift Bait. That's a pretty nice bait from them. Scorching Sands is always going to be shielded, but I want to fish for the 10% chance at an attack drop. I don't get it, so now I combo play with the Rock Tomb to lower their attack. Can I withstand these Dragon Breath Shadow Kingdra? So oppressive, but the rank 12 Fortress hangs on, makes the Rock Tomb, KOs the Kingdra. In comes Fortress. I bring in Diggersby, and my opponent will concede the match. With the first day of a new meta, I wanted to try and find a fun pick to make my battles as enjoyable as possible, and I feel like I really found that with Shadow Palkia. For this team, if you're wanting to use it for climbing, obviously you could use the Shadow Palkia. The more meta version of this team would be to just slot in the Shadow Kingdra. A Shadow Kingdra, with that little bit of extra bulk, can do better in certain matchups that Palkia struggles in due to the fact that its secondary move is very expensive, being that Draco Meteor. But when that Draco Meteor can actually land, my goodness, that -1 Draco Meteor almost OHKOing a full health Jellicent. And Jellicent's a pretty bulky Pokemon at that, was absolutely wild. I do think that in the early days of this meta, that the combination of Bug Steel plus Water Dragon, the great synergy that those two typings have, is something that could honestly end up defining this meta. And you can kind of switch out the Bug Steels and the Water Dragons. So whether you end up doing what I did, which is with Fortress and Palkia, whether you decide to go a more offensive route with the Shadow Scizor, or the bulkier route over Palkia with the Shadow Kingdra, I think this is just a winning combination. This is a limited meta, so obviously there's a lot of Pokemon that just simply are not allowed, and that can allow for these like lower power level Pokemon like Shadow Palkia to have some nice play. And hey, anytime I get to use Shadow Palkia and get some wins, to me, that is a pretty good day. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.